everyone, Kayla from Krochets here. Today we're going to learn how to create the Branch Out Shawl. This thing is overloaded with texture and is kind of obnoxiously oversized, but I love it and I think you guys will too. Before we begin, I do want to mention that the Branch Out Shawl is part of a Branch Out series that I've designed. There's also a Branch Out beanie and also a Branch Out raglan. If you like any of these designs, you can find the patterns linked below, but enough about that, let's get started. Okay, so to begin, we are going to start by creating a magic circle. And how you do that is you are going to place the tail end of your yarn over your two fingers like so. Hold on to the tail, wrap that yarn around your fingers like that, and create an X like so. See that? Still holding on to that end down here. You're going to take your hook or your finger, whichever one you're more comfortable with, go under the top right of the X and grab the top left and pull that through. You're now ready. So what I do now is you go ahead and take that loop off your fingers and pull it just a little bit tight so that tail doesn't unravel the whole circle. And then you grab your working yarn and we're now ready for row one. And if that is too intimidating, don't worry. You can chain 3 and then slip stitch into the first chain. To begin, it says to chain 1. You're then going to place 3 single crochets, chain 2, 3 single crochets into the magic circle. That beginning chain 1 will never count as a stitch in this pattern. So go ahead and again start by placing 3 single crochets into the magic circle. If you don't know how to single crochet or chain or the basics to crochet, no problem. Go ahead and click this link up here. That'll take you to a crochet tutorial and then come right back. Chain 2 and then 3 more single crochets into the magic circle. You're then going to pull this tail tight like that, and I'll tighten up that magic circle for you. And that is row 1. Row 2, you're going to turn your work and chain 3. This chain 3 does count as a double crochet in this pattern. So that's 1 double crochet, and then place 2 more double crochets into that same stitch. So into the first stitch, place 2 double crochets. So right now we have a total of 3 stitches. It then says to double crochet in the next stitch. Double crochet until you reach the chain 2 space. And there's the chain 2 space. So I've stopped, and now it says to double crochet, place 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet into that chain 2 space. It then says to double crochet until 1 stitch remains. And then in the last stitch, place 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. At the end of row 2, you should have a total of 14 stitches. So let's just go ahead and double check our work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. You do count the chains as stitches, by the way. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're on track. Row 3, you're going to chain 1, and as another reminder, the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. 2 single crochets into the first stitch. 1, 2. It then says to back loop single crochet in each stitch across until you reach the chain 2 space. So go ahead and back loop single crochet. If you've never done that, you see the top 2 little loops, this strands, I don't know what people call them right there. There's a back loop back there and a front loop right there. You're going to single crochet in the back loop only. What this does is it creates, see that line right there? Whenever you work in the back loop, it leaves a cool little textured line in the front, and that's what we're kind of going for in this pattern. So again, back loop single crochet across until the chain 2 space. You're then going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 space, and then back loop single crochet across until 1 stitch remains. And remember that 1 stitch that remains is the chain 3. So we will be working right there. And then in the top of the chain 3, you are going to place 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Perfect. At the end of row 3, you should have a total of 18 stitches. This is what your work should look like so far. Row 4 says to chain 3. And again, that chain 3 does count as 1 double crochet. And then it states to place 2 more double crochets into that same stitch for a total of 3 double crochets. This is whenever it gets a little more interesting and maybe a little bit more tricky, but don't worry, we'll figure it out. We are going to front post double crochet in each stitch or each post across until the chain 2 space. This is when you're really going to start seeing that texture pop in this shawl. And if you have the written pattern, you should see that the front post double crochet is worked 1 row below and not 2 like in most patterns. So let's go over how to work a front post double crochet. You're going to yarn over just like you would if you were making a double crochet. Place your hook from right to left around the post just 1 row down. So this is single crochet post, and a post is the vertical bar between 2 stitches that you would normally work in. Again, from right to left, go around, go to the back, and then pop your hook back through and see how that post, we caught that post. That is how you work a front post double crochet. Like that's how you go around it. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 again. And you just created your first front post double crochet. Let's go over how to do that one more time. So find the next post. It's between 2 stitches. So ours is right there. You're going to yarn over, place your hook from right to left through the around the next post, like so. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. There you go. So again, continue making front post double crochets all the way up until the chain 2 space. And the last post before the chain 2 space is pretty specific about where you're going to be working. So let me show you that. All right, this is the last post. See how it's kind of wonky and looks a little different than the other ones? That's because we've chained 2, and so it leaves an extra little post, a little bar right there. You're going to go around all of them. So stick your hook from right to left, all the way through, all the way to that chain 2 space, and create that front post double crochet. It then states to double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the chain 2 space. So go ahead and do that. Your work should look like this so far. Not very pretty. This is the wrong side. it now says to front post double crochet across until 1 stitch remains. So go ahead and do that. After the chain 2, your first post is right here. And again, front post double crochet until 1 stitch remains. All right, so there's one more post or 1 stitch that remains. Go ahead and place 3 double crochets into that last stitch. And at the end of row 4, you should have a total of 24 stitches. I just wanted to flip it over to the right side so you guys can see what it looks like. See how it made that single crochet row on the previous row pop? See that? It's beautiful. So that's what we're creating when we're making those front post double crochets. Let's go ahead, turn your work, and begin row 5. It says to chain 1 and place 2 single crochets into the first stitch. It then says to back loop single crochet in each stitch across until the chain 2 space. Again, that back loop only. There we go. You're really going to start seeing that texture after these next couple rows, the bigger it gets. So just be patient with it. It takes a little bit before you start really seeing all those lines. All right, we're at the chain 2. You're then going to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet into the chain 2 space. Back loop single crochet until 1 stitch remains. And again, that last stitch is a chain 3 from the previous row, and place 2 single crochets in the top of that chain 3. Oops. All right. Go ahead and double check your stitch count. At the end of row 5, you should have 28 stitches, and this is what it should look like. Row 6 says to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and place 2 double crochets into the first stitch. And just like the 2 rows down, you're going to front post double crochet across until the chain 2 space. So go ahead and do that. All right, on that last post, just a reminder, go around all of those wonky looking loops. Okay, place 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet into the chain 2 space. Front post double crochet across until 1 stitch remains. The last stitch, and you're going to place 3 double crochets. There we go. And at the end of row 6, you should have a total of 34 stitches. This is the wrong side. This is what the right side looks like so far. So do you see all those lines? It's so beautiful. All right, so row 7 is a branch row, is what I call them. You're going to chain 1, place 2 single crochets into the first stitch. You are then going to front post double crochet. And again, if you front post double crochet in this pattern, you are working around the post just 1 row down, and in this case it is already a double crochet. So go ahead and work around the second double crochet right there, going from right to left. and front post double crochet. There we go. It then says to single crochet, front post double crochet, and that's the repeat until the chain 2 space. So single crochet in the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch. Again, working just 1 row down, finding the post below the next stitch and working around it. Single crochet in the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch. And again, repeat that across. You will be ending with a front post double crochet before the chain 2 space, and I'll show you where to place that. Oh, I should mention, when you work a front post double crochet, there will be an empty stitch behind it, if that makes sense. So since we're not working into the actual stitch back there, see that? There will always be an empty stitch kind of behind it. All right, and I'm coming the stitch right before, it says to front post double crochet, so that post, actually it's a double crochet that you worked into the chain 2 space. We're gonna be working around that one. There we go. And then you're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 space. You're then going to front post double crochet, and then the same repeat across. You're going to single crochet, make sure you're only skipping 1 stitch back there. Single crochet, front post double crochet across until 1 stitch remains. You're then going to place 2 single crochets into the top of the chain 3 space. 1, 2. And that is how row 7 should look. Okay, so for row 8, it is going to be the same that you did in the past. It's going to be chain 3, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, front post double crochet until you reach the chain 2 space, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in there, then front post double crochet down the other side until 1 stitch remains, and then 3 double crochets into that last stitch. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back for row 9. Okay, and at the end of row 8, you should have a total of 44 stitches. And this is what it should look like. All right, row 9 is also one that we have already done. You're going to chain 1, place 2 single crochets in the first stitch, back loop single crochet across each stitch until you reach the chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in there, back loop single crochet all the way until 1 stitch remains, which is the chain 3, and then 2 single crochets in that last stitch. So go ahead and do row 9, and I will meet you at the end of that row. Okay, and at the end of row 9, you should have a total of 48 stitches, and it should look like this. For row 10, it is going to be the same as row 8. You are going to chain 3, front post double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and then front post double crochet across. So do that, and I will meet you at the end of row 10. Okay, I finished up row 10, and this is what your work should look like on the right side so far. And this is when it changes just a little bit, but not too much. So for row 11, you're going to do chain 1 and then single crochet 3. Place 3 single crochets into the first stitch. And that's the only difference as far as like back loop single crochets, that single crochet row. So now you are going to back loop single crochet across just like you did in the previous rows. The only difference is you're placing 3 single crochets in the first and last stitch. So I'll meet you at the end of this row, of row 11. Okay, and I'm on the last stitch, that chain 3, and then we need to place 3 single crochets into that last stitch. And for row 11, you should have a total of 60 stitches. And now for the last repeat row, row 12, we're gonna turn chain 3, and that is just like every other chain 3 row. You're going to place 2 more double crochets into the first stitch for a total of 3 double crochets, and then front post double crochet across, all that good stuff, and I'll meet you at the end of row 12. All right, so after row 12 you should have a total of 66 stitches, and that is the last repeat row. So now you are going to repeat rows 7 through 12. I'll put them in the next little video clip. And you're going to repeat those rows until row 61, which is going to be a row 7 repeat, which is a branch row. You will have a total of 10 branch rows, and then come back and we will go over how to do the edging. Okay, and for just tutorial purposes, I'm going to go ahead and do the edging, and that's the great thing about this pattern is you can stop at any branch row at the end of any row 7 repeat and start doing the edging. So if you start running out of yarn, or if you want a smaller one for your child, you can stop at any row 7 repeat and start the edging. And so technically in the pattern, this is row 62. And you're going to chain 1 and place 2 single crochets into the first stitch. And this row is super easy, and this is a repeat row. You're just going to single crochet in each stitch across, going under both of those loops, a normal single crochet. And you're going to do that until you reach the chain 2 space. Alrighty, and then you are going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 space, and repeat the same thing for the other side. So single crochet across until 1 stitch remains, and then 2 single crochets in the last stitch. And I will meet you at the end. All right, and I'm on the last stitch. You should place 2 single crochets into the last stitch. And then turn your work, and for row 63, you are going to chain 1 and place 2 single crochets into the first stitch. Front post double crochet around post 2 rows down. So you're going to yarn over, and 2 rows down is that post right there. We are not working just in 1 row down right here, but we are working in this 2 rows down post right there. And then single crochet in the next stitch. Make sure you only skip 1 stitch back there for the front post double crochet. Single crochet in the next stitch. And then the repeat until the chain 2 space is front post double crochet around the front post double crochet 2 rows down, and then single crochet. So go ahead, yarn over, going under the front post 2 rows down. There we go, you connected those. Skip that stitch behind and single crochet in the next stitch. And again, that's the repeat, so front post double crochet around the next post, around the next front post double crochet, I should clarify, single crochet in the next stitch. And continue to do that until you reach the chain 2 space, and I will show you where to place. Okay, And it says to do that repeat until you reach 1 stitch before the chain 2 space. So I have 1 stitch left. Now the instructions state to front post double crochet around the post 2 rows down. And which post that is it's the post right before the chain 2 space 2 rows down. So not the post right below, but the next one. Go ahead and go around that. There you go. You're then going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 space. And for the next side, you're going to start by placing a front post double crochet around the post 2 rows down, just like you did right there. And go around all of those. See how there's that extra little strand right there? Go ahead and grab that and go under that as well, just to clean it up a little bit. Make sure you only skip 1 stitch back there. Single crochet in the next stitch, and the repeat is going to be front post double crochet around the front post double crochet 2 rows down, single crochet, and repeat that across until 2 stitches remain. Okay, 2 stitches remain on row 63. And then it says to front post double crochet around the post 2 rows down. So find the next stitch, go down 1 post, 2 posts. And then place 2 single crochets into the last stitch. You are then going to repeat rows 62 and 63 until you reach row 70, ending with a row 62 repeat, which is a single crochet row. So go ahead and do that. You're then going to weave in all of your ends and wet block it so it lays nice and flat. And then your shawl will be done. Thank you guys so very much for following along with me. If you liked this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up down there, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But other than that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day and happy making.